Hello everyone, and a warm welcome to our panel discussion today. We're here with a fantastic group of women who've not only excelled in the world of insurance, but who also bring their very unique perspectives to the table. Our panelists come from various walks of life, and today they're going to share with you what makes insurance great, the changes in the sector and the technical landscape, and how they've tackled the challenges of their careers and maintained a healthy work-life balance. But before we jump in, I just wanted to remind everyone that the food bank competition opens today, and we only have until the 22nd of March to reach our goal. Our goal, just a quick reminder, is to raise 3 pounds of food per person here at Lloyd SAD. You didn't come here to listen to me, so let's get going. We're going to start by having our panelists introduce themselves. Over to you.
I'm Lauren Friedrich, and I'm the Technical Director of Group Benefits at Lloyd SAD Consulting.
Hi, I'm Leah Marchand. I'm a partner and senior advisor at Lloyd SAD.
Hi, I'm Julie Sharkey, and I'm the Vice President of Strategic Initiatives.
Hi, I'm Magdalena Kamich, and I am a partner and a senior advisor at Lloyd SAD.
And I am Kara Hawkins-Driscoll, and I'm the Director of Technical Risk Solutions here at Lloyd SAD in Edmonton.
Excellent. Well, we're going to start with you today, Kara.
Perfect.
And I'd like you to talk a little bit about what sparked your interest in insurance and how you kickstarted your journey on this career.
Sure, absolutely. So I graduated university and I was a school teacher. I kind of quickly realized that that wasn't my passion. I had majored in business in university, and so I figured I would go out there and get a business job. So I contacted some of my friends who worked in business, and I started to have coffees and meetings with them and get introductions to other people. I very quickly arrived on the insurance industry. I met with somebody and talked about group benefits. I talked about opportunities to sell life insurance. And then I sat down with a gentleman who said, I think you'd really like P&C insurance. You should meet my friend Marshall. So that was Marshall SAD. So I met with him, and I think about 3.5 weeks later, I had a job in insurance, and I've been here ever since.
Fantastic. Leah, I'd like to send this one over to you as well.
Sure. So I kind of grew up in the industry. My dad's a broker as well. He actually works for Lloyd SAD currently. So I started being exposed to it from a young age and worked summer student at Aon probably for 3 years. And then I graduated high school, and I thought I was going to live the life and travel and have a whole year paid by my parents. And they quickly kind of put a stop to that and said, if you don't go to post-secondary, you got to move out. So I'm like, what can I do that's kind of easy and that I can get help with my homework from? And I'm like, insurance. So I went to Grant MacEwan for the insurance and risk management program, and I had a job even before I graduated, and the rest is history, and I've loved it ever since.
Nice, fellow alum.
Yeah.
Lovely. All right, let's see what some of our other people have to say about their journey in insurance.
I had spent 20 years in the media industry, and like so many, when COVID happened, I lost my career. And at the age of 40, I was presented with a very scary opportunity to find something else. And I'd heard through research that insurance seemed pretty recession-proof, and that there was a big opportunity for growth that was really, really important to me. So I'd done a lot of research as far as going into personal lines or going into commercial insurance, and Lloyd SAD really offered the opportunity to do whatever it is that I wanted to do. So it was a no-brainer that this would be the next career path that would make sense for me.
I believe the unique qualities that a woman brings to the table in the insurance industry is multitasking. However, having said that, I don't feel that there should be a differentiation between men and women in the insurance industry at all. I think we're both capable of exactly the same things. I see women CEOs, I see women CFOs, so I actually don't believe that there's any differentiation between us, although we can multitask better. So.
As women, I think we hear and we listen, and those are two entirely different things. We listen to what our clients need, we listen to what our executives say, and we listen to each other. I think we create a open space where we feel comfortable sharing thoughts and ideas, and ultimately create a stronger team because of it.
Well, when I started out, it was just kind of like the little entry-level positions, so that was just kind of like the learning steps. As the years went on and I took courses, and the different positions that I took on. I do have to say that the position I'm in right now in claims and risk services, it's just something new all the time.
I knew that I would have to start at the bottom, and I was prepared for that. But I needed to be with a company that I knew would let me grow at the pace that I wanted to grow at. And I was prepared to do the work that I needed to do in order to grow quickly. And Lloyd SAD has more than opened their doors and allowed me to grow at a pace that I want to, so that I can progress maybe a little faster than I would have had I started here when I was 20.
Hi, what we're going to do next is we're going to tackle some of the challenges and the changes in the industry. But before we get deep into that, I'd love to know, what are the unique qualities that you folks believe women bring to the industry? Kara, how about we start with you?
I have no difficulty holding logic and feeling at this. And it does not diminish my powers, it expands them. The Barbie movie.
Thanks, Kara. That was good. It's hard to follow that, but I think women, and I mean, I'm speaking in generalities here, like for the most part, I think what we do bring to the table is adaptability. I think women are, in generally speaking, quite adaptable to different situations, and that's just not the insurance industry. I just think that's business overall. And also, I think that women just have like an inherent desire to see others succeed. So I find that for myself and other women, I think it's probably quite rewarding to mentor and work in collaborative type environments. So I definitely think that adds to women succeeding in this field. Those are pretty big, important skill sets, I think, to have.
100%. Julie?
I completely agree with both of those sentiments. One of the biggest changes, I think, in the industry and business communities as a whole is the fact that what historically was really named as a feminine trait, collaboration, emotional intelligence, wanting to be able to come to a consensus instead of dominating conversation. Instead of those being seen as like a negative light and saying it's a feminine trait, that's actually now being highlighted as a amazing resource in business.
Yes.
So I think now to be able to actually have that seen in the correct light and not seeing traits being feminine or masculine, but actually validating all of those traits actually bring really great business acumen.
Fantastic. I'm going to stick on you for a little bit longer. I know, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I was wondering if you could please share some insights on the role of technology and data analysis in the insurance industry and how it impacts your work.
Absolutely. So I think probably the biggest shift that is happening and will continue to happen is the rapid expansion of the amount of data that is out there. The different ways to actually be able to collect, correlate, and be able to get it all these different systems to try to make it all exist simultaneously. And that in tandem with your carriers needing all that information. So the big shift on not just how do we collect, what do we actually need, how do we make sure that we synthesize the data in a relevant manner, but how do we actually get that to be meaningful for our clients to be able to do the best job that we can. And that's the biggest shift in the industry, is to do the best for the clients. We need to be able to capitalize on that.
Yeah, that storytelling is essential, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, Lauren, I'm going to send this right over to you.
Absolutely. So I've been lucky enough to be a part in some key data projects that we've been doing on the group benefits side. And a lot of that has been tied to automating and using AI to leverage the data that Julie was speaking to. We have new reporting functions, better analytics to give better information to our clients. But for our team, truly what that means for us is that instead of doing data entry for hours, we're actually able to do a lot more problem solving, creative thinking, to look at what we can do for our clients instead of plugging in numbers into spreadsheets all day. So there's efficiencies that we're realizing just in our own day-to-day work, but the value we bring to our clients is really what's driving these projects going forward.
I love that. So instead of it just being the mundane, let the computer handle the mundane and then use your best asset, which is your brain.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Okay, Leah, I want you to dish on the juiciest challenges you faced as a woman in insurance.
Okay.
I'm
Actually,
so curious.
I have a situation and then I have a comment to kind of follow it up. So most of my career, I've kind of been a woman amongst so many men, and a lot of my clients have been oil and gas, transportation, construction, so like the males of the males, the type A's, right? So I remember flying up to Fort McMurray once, and it was just myself and this client in a boardroom, and they had had a claim that was going sideways, so there was a lot of money on the line, but it was a pre-renewal. So I showed up with all my applications in hand, and I thought we were going to have this pleasant pre-renewal meeting, and sat down and I started the meeting and said, I need to go through these apps, and he took my applications and threw them at his dog in the corner of the room and said, my dog can crap on these.
Oh, wow.
And you'll get these applications when I get my money. And I'm like, okay, well, I got stuff to do here. We got to accomplish this meeting. So I got up, composed myself, picked up the applications, and we went through them and worked through it together, because you had no other alternative. You had to come back with what you needed, and we worked through that problem. But I remember thinking, like, I don't think he would have done this to a male counterpart. He saw an opportunity to try to put me in my place, and I think I succeeded in that moment in pulling it back to a professional manner. So that's one experience. And then just a comment, I think oftentimes we're underestimated. People look at us as maybe we're not going to be as professional or prepared or as knowledgeable as our male counterparts. And I think that is an opportunity for us to really level up. I took it as a superpower. So being underestimated put me in the best possible position, because my other brokers that were competing against the same business, they probably thought I was an easier opponent, and I always succeeded because of that underestimated situation. So that's a superpower.
It is a superpower, 100%. Magdalena, let's see what you have to say. Spill the tea.
I'll spill the tea. I like spilling tea.
Please.
I spill tea a lot, and not just tea, but also
I'm getting
tea.
my tea.
Yeah, and to kind of echo Leah's comment, I really appreciate that, and I've had situations that are quite similar. But I have to say that for myself personally, I think the biggest challenge I faced is myself. It's that silent imposter syndrome, and not only do potentially others see you as maybe not as worthy of an opponent, like you were saying, but also I think that women see themselves as a not worthy opponent oftentimes. So I think it's, generally speaking, women tend to not pursue opportunities until they feel like they're fully ready, or I'm not ready for that. I don't deserve to be at this table. Who am I speaking to, the CEO of whatever company? And that's a challenge, and that's something I think that still lives with me. It's always lived with me, but I think where the superpower comes in is the ability to actually just see through that and put yourself in situations where you're not necessarily comfortable, and really just believing in yourself that you can do this. You're just as smart or just as worthy to be sitting here like everybody else. And really, we're really just working through that and challenging it, and being able to take that and just put it aside and just going for it, because we have so much to offer. And I think that because everybody else sees you as maybe a little bit weaker, I think we also have that tendency to see that ourselves as a little bit weaker and not deserving.
Absolutely. Julie, out of curiosity, what do you consider the most significant opportunities in the sector coming up, say, in the next 5-10 years?
I would really say that, from my personal focus, the lens is really shifting in Canada, much like what we've seen in Europe. So the emergence of micro businesses, as we all know, that a lot of the large conglomerates are starting to go away. There's a massive increase of those 1 to 5 people businesses, and that shift in our business community really changes on the knowledge that those people have access to, right? When you have a large organization founded 50 years ago, they've got a wealth of resources and knowledge as they understand the risk, they understand what they're up against, right? They've got other people to be able to communicate and collaborate with. But with micro businesses, they're often on their own. And in our industry, it's definitely going to really shift how we have to connect with them and make sure we educate them, because they're just as risk as anyone else, because it's their livelihoods, it's their assets. It may not be a 100-person company, but they still are of the same value, and we need to be able to make sure that we can bridge that gap for them.
100%. We have so many more entrepreneurs these days with the advent of all of this, right? Lauren, can I throw the same question your way? Get that benefits perspective?
Yeah, so kind of building on what Julie said, a lot of, when we take it back to the data and what we're talking about, automation is required. How can we get all the data and treat those 5 life accounts like we would for a large group and get them the same education, access to the same tools and resources without having those internal teams? And I think a part of that is leveraging all our data, all the good work that we do on our large clients. How can that trickle down to the smaller ones? Now with global workforce, we're doing more than ever. I have a company here who has employees in Ireland, and they're going to go down to the Cayman Islands, and they're going to be doing a job there. And there's so much more complexity to the issues that are coming forward that previously you had Canadian company, maybe a mom and pop shop, and they were here and they hired their 2 people, and it was really straightforward. That's just not the case anymore. So looking at where what else we can do for our clients, how we can really wrap our arms around all areas of their risk, I think is kind of an exciting prospect in the next few years.
I agree. And also, Navicord, if you'd like to open up a branch in the Cayman Islands, that would be fabulous. Yes, I volunteer as tribute. Okay, so we're going to see what some of our other folks here have to say about challenges and changes in our industry. Take a listen.
Having been in the business for 30 years, some of the more unique qualities that I see now as opposed to like 25 years ago are women in sales. That's what I see as different now than it was before. Women are stronger in sales now. They have the confidence and the ability to become great salespeople, where I don't think they saw that 25 years ago.
I would say the biggest challenge is my inability to golf. Just kidding. I would say I was always kind of told that it was a primarily male-dominated industry, so I've always kind of had that in the back of my mind, but I would say I've been lucky enough to have great mentors and colleagues and clients who have just been great to work with, so I don't know if that's been an improvement, but it's seemingly gone great for me.
There's been a lot of exciting developments in the surety world. E-bonding is one of them. So during COVID, we saw a lot of obligees not only requesting digital bonds, but requiring them. More and more are accepting digital bonds, which just makes it so much easier for everyone to work remotely and get things done quickly. Another good program that we're using is Bondline, and Bondline is a Navicord initiative, and it's used by Lloyd and a couple of the other broker partners. And what Bondline is it's a program where our clients can go in and request bonds, we can issue them, we can track all of their outstanding activity. It's a pretty robust system where they can go in and easily get rates, get a quote, get contact information, limits, anything like that. So it's a pretty great program that we're getting very positive feedback on.
Every time I look around me, I'm absolutely stunned and humbled by the talent that I see in our group of companies here at Navicord. It's astronomical, the work that we do, and it's astronomical, the accomplishments we've had. But to do that, we've had to push a lot of boundaries. We alluded to that earlier, and I'm going to turn to my friend Magdalena over here and say, I know you've had a lot of epic moments in your career, but can you share an epic moment with us where you've really felt women coming together and pushing those boundaries? Like, how did it make you feel? What happened? Give us a little bit of a narrative.
Yeah, and I don't know if I have like a specific moment in mind, but just thinking back across my career at Lloyd I'll be here for 19 years in July. So I mean, I've been here for a really long time, and looking at the organization then versus looking at the organization now, like it's like a completely different place. Like it's as if I've switched, essentially where I work. It was, I believe the whole place was about 70 employees, and pretty much all of the account executives were men. And I think I was maybe the second female or third female account executive that Lloyd has ever hired at that point. So I think for me, the pushing boundaries is looking at the organization today and just seeing that contrast. I mean, we have many, not just account executives, but, like yourself, Julia, and you, Kara, as well, leaders in the organization that are women that just historically wasn't that case. So how does that make me feel? That makes me feel good. And the other interesting thing is also our clients are changing as well. So more and more of the individuals that we deal with on an account executive level in our insurance businesses are also women. So it's really neat to see that shift over, and what really, if you think about it in grand scheme of things, not that long of a time.
Absolutely. Let's throw the mic all the way down here. Oh, you're coming next, Lauren. You're not out of this. Could you share with us an epic moment where you've seen women pushing the boundaries?
I think my example is more of women coming together. So 2 years ago, our team had the unfortunate loss of losing our female leader. And it was very sudden and tragic, but as awful as that was and dealing with that grief, what amazed me was how the women around us really rallied together. And I've never been more proud to be part of an organization, because those women had huge shoes to fill, and everyone just stepped up and did their role and took it bravely and really banded together. And I'm so proud of our team. And we have great leadership support, and I don't want to dismiss the men who are in the equation. They were, we had wonderful support there too, but the women that were there and around me, I wouldn't be here without them. So seeing that, and, it really made me feel like we all stepped up where we needed to, and that we could do anything, anything that came in our path. So, yeah.
It's a real testament to the community you built.
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah. All right, here we go.
My turn.
Yes, indeed.
I guess my perspective is probably more of a bit of a shout out. I am fortunate enough to be surrounded by my team of female leaders every day, with the exception of my dad. But we'll call him one of the girls.
He's an ally.
Yeah, exactly.
He's an ally.
But I feel so powerful being part of this team with Hannah, Susanna, and Krista, and most recently Monique, who was added to the mix. Together, we inspire each other, we bounce ideas off of each other, we lift each other up. We're constantly talking amongst ourselves, and I'm making sure that we know what our runways are as a team to make sure that nobody's missing an opportunity. Our number one priority is our client-focused relationships, and we actually get that feedback from the clients. They appreciate us as a team, and I truly feel super powerful because of these women that I get to work with every single day. So that's pretty powerful.
Thank you for shouting out your team.
Yeah,
yes.
I love them.
Well, we wouldn't be here without our teams. And stop. So Kara, I'm going to have you be a solo answer on the next question, because we are talking about leadership and leading within a team and how we move forward. So with the significant amount of female leadership that we do have at Lloyd SAD, how do you envision the future of insurance? How do you anticipate your role evolving over the next, 5, 10, 15, 30 years?
I don't know if I have that long. Hopefully not. I think leadership is just such a tremendous opportunity. I was listening to expose on CBC the other day, and they were saying 8% of American CEOs are female. That's just not enough. Not enough. We need more. I think Lloyd SAD has done an amazing job with female leadership. We've attracted and promoted so many great female leaders. I think moving forward with the growth of our organization, we're just going to see so many more leadership roles develop. And I really hope to see more females, embrace those and take on those challenges. I don't know exactly what that looks like, but I can just see a ton of leadership opportunities for a lot of women in our organization.
Fantastic. So not totally the Barbie movie, somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. No Barbie movie.
I don't think I could wear that much pink.
Yeah.
I could.
Yeah.
Okay, this'll be me. I'll be monochrome to your happy color. Okay, let's take a look and let's see if Jessica, Crystal, and Sandra can add any more insight into what we've been talking about.
So I think that women are constantly coming together and pushing boundaries every day. If I think of the most epic moment, less of a moment and more of a period of time, which was 2020 when we all had to go home and figure out working from home, doing our Zoom meetings, all that fun stuff. We not only were checking in on each other on a work level and making sure we were helping each other with tasks that might not be our responsibility, but making sure that we were there to support each other. But we were also checking in on each other daily on a human level.
Lloyd SAD has seen a significant increase in women in leadership over the last few years, which I'm extremely proud of. I definitely see the insurance industry evolving to include more women in sales and leadership roles. I think there's still a really long way for us to go in the sales space, but I also see us growing to create a place of belonging for everybody. So not just women, but no matter the gender or how people identify themselves as. For myself, I would love to see myself as one of the women in leadership one day here at Lloyd SAD.
Just having confidence. Confidence, I think, is very powerful. For me, I'm just confident in my abilities, which helps me to perform to the best of my abilities. I think that the team themselves can have confidence in me, and they know that if I'm tasked with completing a job, they know that it'll get done. Going back to my insurance career, I'm just confident that I made the right choice, that I started at Lloyd SAD, and I decided to continue and further my, my insurance career.
Hello, we're going to step into the hottest, most controversial topic of the day. And you'd be surprised, it really is. We're going to talk a little bit about work-life balance. Leah, I'm going to start with you, and flat out, how do you strike a balance between work, family, personal well-being? Like, what tools and practices do you put in place for this?
Great question. I brought my daughter today, and I think she would probably laugh at this question because I think I have it somewhat down, but she would probably disagree. I think it's, especially since COVID, boundaries with clients have really disappeared. The line is blurred so much. You're expected to be available 24/7. So I think you really have to set those boundaries, and not everything is urgent. Not everything needs a response. They might need an acknowledgement. So I make a point of, if a client reaches out after hours when I'm with my family, I will acknowledge that they've requested something, but I don't immediately respond to it or dig into it until I actually have time, the next day or hours later. So the boundaries are very important, I think. And aside from that, actually, Barry James once complimented me a couple years ago. He's like, "You seem to have a really good knack for figuring out this balance, because I fit time for friends and family into my work." And I don't actually know how I do that. I think just those relationships are a priority to me. They're something that I cherish, and because I cherish them and I cherish my career, I figure it out somehow, miraculously.
I love
Maybe
it.
not well all the time, but I try.
Beautiful. Magdalena, you want to add on to this one?
Yeah, I can add on a little bit, and I mean, I can add on from the working from home perspective. Again, Leah was talking about COVID, and COVID's brought on so many changes. We could have another, entire panel on just COVID changes, but I think for me, having the ability to work from home is great, and it definitely does help having the Zoom and all the tools that we implement in our business. But I think what lacks in that is leaving your work at the office and having your home life being your home life and staying with your family. So I miss the coming from the office, having that drive home, sitting in crappy traffic or whatever the commute happens to be. But we have that time to decompress and switch from your work mode to your home mode. Whereas working from home can pose a challenge in that you really blend the two together, and it's hard to be present for your family or be present, you know, for work if you have distractions at home too when you're working. So I think striking a balance there, being able to come into the office, really leave work at work, you know, when you're home with your family. And I think that's important. That's just important for our brains as well, for just mental health altogether.
100%, super challenging. I know a few weeks ago, because I don't eat properly when I work from home. I don't eat. I wake up.
And I just eat all day. So there's that challenge too.
So my son was home and he's like, oh, my mother doesn't eat. And so he thought to himself, I'm going to help. And I was in the middle of a Zoom meeting and I could hear like sort of like shh, 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 and I didn't know what was happening. And he was on his hands and knees and he was crawling into the office where I work. And then this little plate of cut up apple and onion was slid onto my desk. And he's like, I made you a salad. Just like, yeah.
Well, there's a little child understands work-life balance, right? Like the mom needs to take care of herself, and that's important. So, like, if you know little kids can understand it, we should all be able to understand it. Like, we're not brain surgeons, you know. Like, the client can wait 5 minutes for you to respond to that email. Yeah.
Yeah, my 10-year-old is a much better human being than I am. I want to flip the next one to you, Lauren. It's very similar, but what I'm curious about are what are effective self-care practices and strategies for maintaining that mental well-being, right? What do you put in place? What do you do to do, I guess?
So some of the things that I do, I am definitely guilty of overbooking myself, taking on anything and everything. I have a lot with work, outside of work, and I like to keep myself busy. But actually scheduling time for whether it's working out, just taking an hour to do nothing, giving myself the permission to do that and that it's not wasting time, and even scheduling time with my family, friends. Once you wouldn't skip an appointment with a client, and don't skip that appointment with yourself because you're just better. If you can take the time for yourself, you're going to show up better at work, you're going to show up better for your family. And then another, I think, important thing is I deal with struggles with perfectionism, where truly if I make a mistake early in my career, I would see myself as a failure if I made errors. It's insurance. We're going to make mistakes. You're going to give someone, you know, something went out wrong. You made a report and there was an error in it. Mistakes happen. And finding a group where you feel safe to come to your leader and say, I made a mistake. How do we move forward? How do we fix this? Is really key. And then I also finding a group, whether it's peers, a mentor, a coach, even if you're looking at counseling, you need someone to give you the guidance and the feedback and teach yourself how to find those ways to reframe opportunities, to practice better self-talk and not kind of spiral when things aren't going great. So by doing some of those things, I think I've been able to build more resilience. And also I think it's been an advantage to my team that I hope, and I like to think, that when things go wrong, instead of them burying it in the sand and worrying about the consequences, they're bringing them forward and saying, how can we move forward? How can we learn from this opportunity? And of course, how can we fix it for the client and get where we need to be? So I think, and even in this room with all the incredible leaders, we have so many, especially like women within the company, are so open to sharing their experiences. And I think within this group, it'd be really easy to find a mentor or someone you can bounce ideas off of, even if they're not in your direct circle or group that you deal with on a day-to-day.
100%. I think for me, the two big takeaways from what you just talked about was that ability to be allowed to fail forward and progress. I used to work in a company where one of the managers would terminate their lowest performing employee every month without discovering why. Right? So no one was allowed to experiment. No one was allowed to fail forward. So that ability to fail forward and learn and grow, love that you brought that up. I also really liked the point that you made about, like, keep the appointment with yourself. We do often have that tendency, you know, and I'll speak for myself because I do it all the time. I treat everyone else a heck of a lot better than I treat me, right? Yeah, so I really am very, very happy that you brought that up. So we need to all start treating ourselves better. Let's treat ourselves the way we treat everybody else. In the meantime, Charlotte and Amy and Jess have a few more things to tell us. Let's take a look.
Trying to keep your brain healthy in the work life and in personal life is always a struggle. It's always a balance. And it's something that I feel we really have to keep on top of because it's too easy to let yourself slide in one way or another. That's one of the greatest things that I love is a work-life balance. And Lloyd SAD really offers that opportunity with flexibility. Whether it's working from home on the days you need to, whether it's starting a little later so I can take my daughter to school when she has bands so she doesn't have to take the bus at -40. It's that kind of flexibility that keeps your brain fresh, allows you to take the breaks that you need to, so that when you're at work, you can completely 100% focus on work and not feel that nagging mom guilt in the back of your head.
Work-life balance, I think, is a very personal subject for everybody. It's vastly different from person to person. I work in a very collaborative and supportive HR department, so having a really strong relationship with my leader as well as my teammates makes a huge difference for me. I am a working mom and I do travel for work as well, and I also have a spouse who travels for work. So finding the balance is a lot of time management, a lot of organization, and a lot of communication through all pieces of that. I would say having really strong priorities and ensuring that you're always rechecking those makes a huge difference when you're talking about work-life balance.
For me, I think it helps just be really clear in what my goals are and where I'm trying to go, and then kind of block out any outside noise as best you can. And then in terms of just trying to manage stress, I think I always try to think about the future me and what would benefit that versus today's me. So whether that's, getting a boring 8 hours night of sleep or going to the gym if I don't feel like it, I just know that that will help me in the long run. So I try to think about it that way instead of focusing on just the daily stuff.
I just have one more question, and I'd like to ask it to every single person on our panel today. And that is, if you could drop pearls of wisdom for our future insurance renegades, right? What's the secret handshake into our business? What do they need to do?
I guess I'll start.
Yes, you will.
I would say don't be afraid to ask questions. When I started, I was very afraid to look like everyone knows this, I should know this. Everyone in the room is going to think I'm stupid if I ask this question. And I really wish I just would have stuck my hand up more, asked more questions, asked for help when I need it. No one has all the answers is what I've learned. Clients, people that I thought were super senior when I started, I'm like, they have it all figured out. Yeah. No one does. So ask all the questions. And I think it's just going to help you progress further and faster. And also open up conversations with senior partners or people in the positions that maybe you want to be in someday and start building relationships there.
100%.
Okay, I went to a breakfast this morning actually for junior achievement, and I heard this comment and it resonated with me. So you can have mentors and people that you admire within the industry and places you work, but don't try to directly emulate what they do, because there's so much value in owning your own style. There's not one cutout for what's going to fit the mold for everybody. So be authentic to yourself, and your genuine you is going to sparkle and shine through, and people are going to be attracted to that, and that's really important. So don't forget who you are in the process.
Brilliant.
So I was absolutely going to say the exact same thing, so I'm going to go a different direction. I want to pause and really talk about imposter syndrome, which you brought up earlier.
Yeah, let's dig in.
Yeah,
actually.
I think that is something that we just don't talk enough about. And I want to talk about it in kind of two different avenues. Is that one, we all face it, every single one of us. I would say there are certain circumstances that maybe make it much worse for some groups of people. And I think it's our job to make sure we step in to build a collaborative, high communicating, fail forward culture where people feel comfortable to be able to make mistakes, ask questions, really just be themselves and learn. Like if you think about when you start a new job, you have no idea what's going on. You don't even know where the bathroom is, right? Every moment feels like a hit to your ego because you were great at your last job. You've come here to be successful and you already are off kilter, right? And it's our job absolutely as a community to make sure that we welcome those people because they are immediately feeling that imposter syndrome, and it's our job to be able to help elevate them, to bring them right back to the greatness that they were in that last position.
Yeah.
Right. And I would think that, it's also twofold for us to talk about it and say, hey, I'm doing my best. I'm feeling a little nervous here. Like, do you support me in this? Do I feel like I'm going the right direction? Don't be afraid to ask those questions, right? Don't be afraid to reach out to your peers, your superiors, other people totally in departments that maybe are relevant to what you're working on, and just get their feedback, right? Because when you get that support and you build that community, that imposter syndrome falls away because you do know what you're doing, right? You actually are great, but you have to believe it because there's so many things that will hit you over time that will throw you off kilter and make you truly feel like you don't know exactly what's going on, but you do. So trust yourself, ask questions, and let's all wrap our arms around everyone to be able to help support that, to build it.
Why do I always have to follow you? That's not. What do I say to that? No, and you know what, and I can build on what you said, and I think that, that imposter syndrome, and you're right, we all feel it, and I don't know if it ever truly goes away. But the way I think to combat that is to actually have the positive feedback or the positive reinforcement. So putting yourself, my nugget to anyone on the line would be make it a mission to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, because that's where growth happens. And when you put yourself in that uncomfortable situation and you get positive reinforcement from your peers, from the client, from your family, whoever it is that you are, trying to, I guess, impress or, get them to your point of view in that situation, if you get that positive feedback, you're like, oh, wait, maybe I can do it. Maybe I do deserve to be here, right? And then in your career too, you'll have people that, I've had people that I greatly respect and think the highest, that I'm not even close to being on their level. They reach out to me for advice, and I'm like, what? And I mean, it's validation, right? It's validation that you do deserve to be here. So my nugget to anyone listening would be, make it a mission to put yourself in that uncomfortable situation, and the gratitude and just the self-worth that you get from succeeding in that situation is the best growth that you could possibly imagine. Yeah.
100%.
So I'm going to build on that a little bit because that was kind of mine too. I'm going to frame it more like opportunities. So I think just, always having your eyes open and looking for an opportunity to, like you said, put yourself in uncomfortable situations. But the way I was going to explain it was more like, get yourself in that room. Get yourself in that room that traditionally you wouldn't think you should be in, and create that opportunity for yourself. So whether that's volunteering,